between fear and hope, between fear and hope, between fear and hope, between fear and hope, between fear and hope.
So I just was thinking, right? It was this one of Martin Luther King's famous speeches that probably got him assassinated, right? Was a lot of, towards the end, he started talking a lot about economics, something that we all know. But something that we might not know is, I'm particularly thinking about this because of the rhetoric that a lot of people use when they say that black people are a certain type of way when it comes to reclaiming our spots in society, as like they say we want handouts, we want this, or they look at reparations as being a handout. A lot of conservatives, and I think I'm leaning more towards conservatism, but not as an ideology, but just in my thoughts. I'm black, Muslim, educated, and a lot of people look at conservatism as Republican, like being Republican. And I think we gotta learn to get out of these boxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be, just because you check one box don't automatically mean that you have to agree with everything that's in that box. So that's why the legislation and governance is supposed to be something where we elect our officials according to our personal agendas. We all should have an agenda. But a lot of times we don't, since we're not as united, we don't have a clear agenda in the black community. And that's one of the things that we need to really get together, right? So back to Martin Luther King. Dang, that's nice. McLaren just rolled by me. I see a lot of them out here too. Black on black, that's real nice. What we need to do, we need to get back, we need to get that agenda. But all right, so going back to the Martin Luther King thing, right? So he was talking about the land grants and the land that was given away. So part of freeing of slaves, we didn't have anything. We didn't have any land or anything. So part of that whole deal was we supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. Everybody know that the Constitution promises 40 acres and a mule. We never got it. Back then, they didn't really have the power to fight for it. We do now, but I think we just, they did such a number on us that nobody is really thinking about. They done given us so many things as far as Section 8, not Section 8, but subsidized housing, food stamps, all of those different things kind of put you in a place of complacency. Right? Almost missed my exit. They put you in a place of complacency. So now you can't really, we got so comfortable, we can't really see ourselves farming land, right? But that don't mean that you don't want the land. A lot of this land is valuable. It's very valuable. And proof of the value of it is you can see Bill Gates buying up a lot of it. I think he is the wealthiest landowner to date. And he did this within a short time, over less than a decade, right? So the land is very valuable. But one of the things why we should be fighting for it is because not only did they not give it to us, they gave a lot of land to poor Europeans to come here and settle as part of the agenda to divide us or separate us from the economical institution of America. You know what I'm saying? That arm of America where we would be contributing members and looked at as equals and contribute to the growing society, right? Because agriculture is basically the cornerstone of any society, every society, I should say. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Dang. of every society, right? Because we all gotta eat. It's that's one of the most simplest things is everybody has to feed themselves. And if you look at the protests that's going on in Sri Lanka right now, it's because they want to basically right now you have the powers that be are taking it's something called an heirloom seed. An heirloom seed is basically a seed that produces a fruit or flower that produces more seeds that can produce fruit or flowers. Genetically modified seeds are seeds that only produce one yield. They only yield one crop. So let's just use a flower for example, like a sunflower. A sunflower, we all know are kind of familiar with sunflowers, right? So a sunflower blossoms, the middle of it is full of seeds. Those seeds get taken and eaten by birds or whatever, and when they get pooped out, they then create more sunflowers in those in other places, and that's how the sunflower continues to grow. Now, genetically modified seeds, once you grow a fruit, like let's say an orange, which one I'm supposed to go? Yeah, once you grow an orange, that even if it's seeded, those seeds won't yield another orange. They're like dead. So what that does to a farmer, and they did this in India, what that does to a farmer is he's now forced to go back and buy more seeds every year, right? So in India, they came in, they replaced all of the heirloom seeds. They compensated the farmers, but they basically, a lot of farmers that were struggling, they came in and say, hey, listen, we're going to buy your heirloom seeds off of you. We're going to give you these genetically modified seeds. They are resistant to X, Y, and Z, so you won't need as many pesticides, blah, blah, blah. But, the consequence of that is that they were worried about their crop yields. So they're like, what about the crop yields? Okay, if you don't obtain XYZ yields, then we're going to subsidize the rest, right? So that means that you can't lose. But then after a certain amount of years, they stop subsidizing. So now, not only is this farmer reliant on buying these GMO seeds from the powers that be, he has to do this every year, and he's not the land. So when you grow crops, the land, the soil has a lot to do with it. I'm not a farmer, so I can't go into details. But some of the soil, like some of the farmers that were growing these seeds weren't seeing good yields because the soil wasn't the soil was not always conducive to grow these GMO seeds, right? You need certain chemicals and all of these different things. That's why the food is so messed up nowadays. But so now that they're not subsidizing, they're not growing enough to feed their families. I mean, well, of course they can feed their families, but they're forced to sell more and more to make a living, and which leaves less for them. And also they're at the mercy of the buyers. So the buyers can now say, you know what, this fruit is not worth X, Y, and Z. It's only worth this. So this is what we want to give you. So now they done grew this crop for a year, and the market is not paying them what they spent in fertilizers, and so what I'm saying, all of the different things you need, all the different tools you need to take a crop from harvest to yield to harvest, all the way to harvest. These farmer terms, I'm familiar with them, but I'm just getting jumbled up over them. So they did that in India, and for a while, I think they were protesting for a while, but I don't know. They trying to do the same thing in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka not having it. So I don't know if y'all saw that, but they showed like millions and millions of people showed up in front of the they big house of parliament or whatever, and they not going for it. They don't want to do it. They hip to it, and they like, no, we making a stance. So So that's why it's so dangerous to give government so much power, because now it's like, what can they really do? They you know what I'm saying, the military, if you know what I'm saying, it's like farmers going up, it's like a David and Goliath type thing, where, you got farmers going up against a legit army, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I agree when a lot of people say that this war is a spiritual war, like, you know what I'm saying? Because only thing that's going to keep you grounded and in the fight is if you stand on some type of moral and some type of principle, and if you fear God, you know what I'm saying? So so going back to Martin Luther King he started talking about how America gave all of these peasants from Europe land, refused to give us land, didn't give us our 40 acres and a mule, and it allowed a lot of the, a lot of times you'll hear, like, you'll have certain type of white people that say, well, my family came here with nothing, and now we are, we're not doing too bad now, so, we didn't get any handouts. But it's like, yeah, your family came, some of them, your family came here to land, and that's more important than anything. And not only that, he talked about how they use government funds to, even teach them how to farm the land, and even subsidize when they, in the situations like, like they did in India, where their crops wasn't, producing certain yields. And even they got even shadier by telling them not to grow food, because when they was coming up with this plan, it was like they needed an excuse to
between fear and hope. Between fear and hope. Between fear and hope. Between fear and hope. Between fear